If home ownership has ever been on your radar, I guarantee you've had this thought pass through your mind at least once, if not multiple times. How in the world do I buy a home and pay little to no money down? Well, I'm telling you, in 2024, it is still possible. And I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can make that happen. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about what goes into all of the costs associated with purchasing a home, and it'll better help you understand how you can apply these 3 ways to your situation so that hopefully you can also go and purchase a home and not have to put much money down at all, if any. So when it goes to purchasing a home, there are, we'll say, 2 main components. There's a third one that I'll touch on a little bit, but the first 2, there's a down payment and then there are closing costs. The down payment for an FHA loan is 3.5%. For a conventional loan, it can vary depending upon if you're a first-time home buyer, it could be as little as 3%. If you're a repeat home buyer, it could be 5%. But we'll stick with FHA just to keep things simple. So for FHA loan, down payment requirement, minimum down payment requirement is 3.5%. So that is money that you as a home buyer have to pay toward the purchase of this home. That is not money that you can get from the seller of the house. The seller cannot pay the down payment for the buyer. You as the buyer have to pay your own down payment. That's the one thing that you're responsible for. Now, the second thing that is a cost associated with purchasing a home is closing costs. And these are the costs associated more with the financing of that home purchase. So in closing costs, I'm going to include the origination fees, which is what your lender is getting paid, the attorney fees for the closing attorney that's gathering all the paperwork together and conducting your closing, the title fees. You've got prepaids, which I'll also wrap in the closing costs as well. And prepaids are your insurance and taxes. So you're going to have to pay taxes and you're going to have to pay insurance. So you add the insurance, the taxes, the title, the attorney fees, your lender fees, and all of those form your closing costs. Now, there's a third thing that I said I would mention. That third thing is discount points that also can be added into closing costs. You may or may not have to pay discount points. It all depends upon the interest rate environment that we're in at any given point. So if we are in an interest rate environment where interest rates, let's say, are elevated, or we're just in an environment where you have to pay for your interest rate, then you might have to pay discount points. So let's say, for example, you can get a 6% interest rate on a house. Depending upon the real estate market that we're in, that 6% interest rate might not cost you anything, but then that 6% interest rate might cost you $2,000. So that's $2,000 that would be added to the closing cost that you would need to pay in order to purchase the home. So in getting into how this all plays into how you can potentially be able to purchase a home with little to no money down payment, closing costs, 2 main things that you have. You have to pay the down payment. Closing costs can be paid by the seller. And that's the first thing that I'm gonna get into, is that having the seller be able to cover closing costs is one way that you can lessen how much money you have to come to the closing table with when it comes to purchasing a home. So the down payment in and of itself with that 3.5% can be a lot depending upon the price of the home that you're looking to buy. So for example, let's say that you're purchasing a $400,000 home, that 3.5% could be $14,000. If you don't have $14,000 to put toward purchasing a home, that's still a lot of money for you. So how can you pay for that $14,000? Well, you can get down payment assistance. Down payment assistance will cover the down payment of the home. And depending upon the down payment assistance program that you use, if there's any money left over after the down payment is paid for, you could put that extra money toward closing costs as well to help lessen the burden of those closing costs if the seller is not willing to cover all of the closing costs. But in essence, you've got down payment assistance, and you've got that you can use to wipe out the down payment portion. And then you've got seller contributions, or the seller helping out with paying off the closing costs. Now, let's say you have down payment assistance, you qualify for it, awesome, you can take care of the down payment. But now let's say you've got $15,000 worth of closing cost over here. Now, and that might be high, maybe it's only 10,000. It'll depend upon where you live at and what you're buying. But let's just say you've got $15,000 worth of closing costs that need to be paid. And the seller doesn't want to give up $15,000 of the profit that they would make on the sale of their home to pay your closing costs. So in that instance, one of the things that you can do to help lessen how much you have to pay is to pay more for the house. What I mean is, let's say you got that $400,000 house that you're looking to buy, and the seller says, you know what, there's $15,000 worth of closing costs. I don't want to pay all 15, but I'll pay 5,000. Cool. So you've got $10,000 more that you still need to come up with to be able to purchase that home. You've got down payment assistance that's covering the down payment, but you got to come up with $10,000 more for these closing costs. One way you can get it is by, instead of buying that home for $400,000, buy the home for $410,000, and then you take that extra $10,000 that you're paying for the home, and you have the seller give that to pay off the closing costs, because the seller's gonna net the same amount that they would net if you were buying a home for $400,000 and you were paying the $10,000, but now you're buying the home for $410,000 and the seller's going to pay that $10,000 toward closing. So you're essentially financing your closing cost. So that is one way that you can be able to have the seller help contribute to paying the closing costs. Now, I will say, in order for that method to work, the home has to appraise for $410,000. So if you've got a house that you want to add the closing cost to the price of the house so that you can finance it into the loan amount and have the seller give it back to you to pay the closing cost, the house has to appraise for that increased amount that you're wanting to finance into the loan. So if you, using our example, want to purchase the house for $410,000, so $10,000 above what the house was listed at, the house will need to appraise for $10,000 in order for the lender to finance the whole $10,000, thereby allowing the seller to give it back to you in closing costs as well. So that's one way. Down payment assistance combined with seller contributions, or the seller helping to pay closing costs. And that's one way that you can purchase a home literally without having to bring any money to the closing table, or with only having to bring in a little money to the closing table, because the down payment assistance is covering your down payment, and you find out what those closing costs are. You ask the seller to cover the rest of to cover all the closing costs or cover a portion of it, and then you try and finance the other portion into the price of the home. So that's one way. The second way, grant programs. There is a lot of money floating around right now with grant money for helping individuals be able to purchase a home and lessen the burden of how much money they have to come to the closing table with just to purchase a home. So there are, I know of some $20,000 grant programs that are out there right now. I know some $15,000 grant programs that are out there right now. And that's money that you don't have to pay back. That's money that you can just get to be able to purchase a home and not have to pay it back. I know, speaking particularly for where I live at right now, there are grant programs, and I'm in the city of Atlanta, but there is a grant program where you can get $20,000 to be able to purchase a home that is in the city of Atlanta that might need some rehabilitation work. Well, if you qualify for this grant program, that $20,000 can help cover your down payment and or closing costs. So grant programs are another great thing to look into depending upon the area that you stay in. A lot of areas have grant money out there. And so I would start doing some research, talk to your local lenders, and find out what programs are out there that have grant money for individuals looking to purchase a home, whether you're a first-time home buyer or not, and then ask them what are the requirements for getting that grant money, so you can start testing the waters to see, hey, is this something that I would fit into, the qualification pool to be able to purchase a home utilizing that grant money. So that's the second thing I'll say. So first thing, down payment assistance combined with the seller contributing to paying off the closing costs. And then number two, you've got grant money. Now, the third way that you can purchase a home and literally bring zero money to the closing table. This is the way that I've seen most, I won't say most often, but I will say in the situations in which it is utilized, very often the buyers are able to purchase homes without having to bring any money to the table. So with this third situation, it's called a gift of equity. And it is most commonly used when you have a family member who is selling a house to another family member. So for example, let's say that your parents own a home and your parents are going to sell you a home that they own. If your parents have equity in that home, they can gift that equity to you to cover all of the down payment and the closing costs. This is one situation in which the seller can cover the down payment for the buyer, and it is through gifting equity of that home that they are selling to the buyer. Now, again, this typically applies in situations where you are related to the individual that is selling the home. When you as the buyer are related to the individual that's selling the home, i.e. the person selling the home is a parent of yours or a spouse, somewhere along the lines, there's a relationship there. This is the instances in which you typically see a gift of equity. There are some circumstances in which it can happen outside of that, but yet usually takes place in non-QM loans, being non-qualified mortgages, not like FHA and conventional loans. But with a gift of equity, just to describe a little bit more in detail about what it is, let's say you have parents who own a home and they're selling their home and they have equity in that home. Let's just say that they have $50,000 worth of equity. And for you to purchase the home at whatever price they're selling it at, your down payment and closing costs will come up to $30,000. Okay, so what the parents can do then is your parents can say, you know what, we will gift you $30,000 of the $50,000 worth of equity that we have in this home, meaning that your parents will get $20,000 of the equity in the home. And then they're gifting you $30,000. The $30,000 that they're gifting you will pay for your down payment and your closing costs. So all you have to do is sign the paperwork at the closing table and you own the home free and clear, along with the mortgage that comes along with that. But you did not have to come up with any money in order to purchase that home because the seller, i.e. your parents, gifted you the equity out of the home to be able to cover the down payment and the closing costs. So that's what a gift of equity is. And it is a great way for parents or grandparents to be able to sell homes to their children, to be able to sell homes to another family member without that family member having to come up with all of the money to be able to pay for down payment and closing costs. So those are three ways that you can be able to purchase a home without having to put any money down or only having to put very little money down that you need to bring to the closing table. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Please check out this coming Tuesday, or Tuesday next week rather, but this coming Tuesday, 7 p.m. I'm going to be streaming live and I'm going to be going into a series of mortgage tips, things that you will want to know because they can save you thousands and potentially tens of thousands of dollars when it comes to you purchasing a home. So I'm going to be revealing all of the tips and the secrets over the course throughout this year of mortgage tips and tricks. And I haven't fully settled yet on how many of these I'm going to release for free, because ultimately these will all be packaged into a product that I'm going to be selling. But for right now, I'm actually going to be making it available for free, the information available for free on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for however long I decide to do this through these live streams. And then I'm going to be packaging up all this content and selling it so that people can get all of the information that will literally help you save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And honestly, I believe it's going to help you save thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. But it's going to be all the mortgage tips and tricks and secrets that I have learned over the years I've worked as a loan officer and the over a decade plus that I've been licensed as a real estate agent, in ways that I've learned how you can take money that you might be getting from the seller or that you might be getting from other sources, and how you can exponentially multiply the impact that that has, particularly when it comes to your monthly payment, and just different ways that you can structure things as well. So it's going to be really, really good stuff that you're going to want to know, especially if you are looking to purchase a home, looking to get into investment property at some point, because it's not just going to apply to primary residences. It's also going to apply to investment property as well. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Next Tuesday, 7 p.m., make sure you're on the live stream, because I'm not going to be posting this after I stream it. It's going, if you're not there live, you're just going to miss it. So by all means, please do try to show up live. Make sure that you catch all of the information. It's only going to be about 30 minutes that I'm going to be talking for these live streams, but they're going to be on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. or until further notice. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Look forward to hopefully seeing you on Tuesday next week. And until next time, take care, be blessed. See you in the next episode.